Hi, my name is Nairi and I'm running an adoption support channel, and today we're going to talk about, shall we say, the not so positive side of adoption, and understanding that although adoption might sometimes seem a popular thing to do, there are several things that you need to think about which will raise themselves if you go for adoption and cannot really be avoided. For many adopters that are in the UK especially, we adopt children that have largely been taken away from families because of abusive and neglectful pasts. And so therefore we have generally closed adoptions. We're not being offered a child that the birth family are quite happy to give up, and the birth family are quite happy to liaise with the new adopters. That doesn't happen in our country, but across the world that does happen. And also across the world there is another darker side to adoption, of course, where families are paid. They're paid to give up their child for adoption, and I guess that's more in poorer countries, but I'm sure that happens everywhere in the world. And this is something to think about, isn't it? So when we adopted our sons, it was all positive for us because we had fostered them for a long time. They'd had a difficult start, and it was like a beautiful end to a very difficult life for them, and we're very settled as a family, and so adoption for us is a really positive thing. But of course, as our boys grow older, they will have lots of questions about rejection from their birth family, why their birth family couldn't look after them, and some of those questions have already happened. And I think it's true to say that many adoptees have struggles with mental health because of trying to work out their identity and how they feel about their birth family, how they feel about their adoptive family, and how they're going to mesh those things together. And that is another negative side of adoption, that not everybody feels positive about it. Some adoptees don't feel positive about it, not knowing their heritage, where they've come from, not being able to resolve many issues. And there are countries and places in the world where adoption is very much a financial gain. And so if you're going to go for adoption, probably you're very positive about it at the moment. You're very excited about it. You can't think of anything better than adopting because maybe you've not been able to have your own children, or you have your own children and you want to add to your family, and you're excited about meeting a new child, excited about bringing them into your home. But it's worth remembering that these other subjects run in the background, and they're never going to go away. They're never going to go away because that child originally, or that baby originally, was meant to be with that birth family, that birth mother, and that child no longer is. And that raises so many questions, not only with the child, but the pain that the birth family experiences, even if they have inflicted some not very nice things on the child. And I know this is very hard to get your head around, but even an abusive family has pain and grief to experience when they lose those children. And whilst we may not agree with how they've raised the child or what's happened to the child, we still have to accept the pain and the grief that they will have of losing children. And for many of them, not having the start that they needed in life to be able to facilitate bringing a child into the world and being able to keep them. So I just want you to think about the fact that when you are considering your adoption, to consider all the strands that are involved in adoption. So the positives, amazing things are welcoming a child into your home, unconditional love for that child, and then bringing so much to you, so much for you to learn about life and experiences that you never knew before. And you will learn so much through having a new child in your home, and it will be the most amazing thing that you've ever done. Even if it is a big learning curve, it will be amazing. But alongside that, to recognise that many adoptees don't feel like that, and as adopted children grow up, they do have mixed feelings about their adoption sometimes. To recognise that birth families struggle with losing their children, and for some birth families that make the decision to voluntarily give up their children and then see another adoptive family taking them on board, for some that's wonderful, but for many it must be very painful. And to recognise that there are places in the world that do benefit financially from adoption, and it's a big kind of racketeering thing where, you know, families that are poverty stricken are forced to give up their children for adoption, and it's worth understanding adoption as a whole. So I hope you guys won't mind me bringing these things to you, because sometimes adoption can seem to be quite trendy, almost the thing to do, but I think for many adopters, once they get on the path, they realise that actually it's quite complicated, and it's worth you knowing that if you're at the beginning of your journey. So thank you for watching Adoption with Nairi.